Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to today's training on the shelter, evacuee, and migrant accountability training. So this is part two of what we started last month. Last month, we covered the civilian side of how to track all the patients, evacuees, civilians. This month, we're looking at the responder side. So we're going to take a look at the workflows for how to credential, how to track volunteers, your staff, responders, and equipment at a reception location, shelters, anywhere where you're looking at tracking your people. During the training, if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or you can use the chat function to send me your question or comment. All right, so when it comes to accountability for your people, we have established two workflows to document and, of course, to print off just-in-time ID tags. The first workflow allows you to scan a driver's license to create a profile and then print a credential using an on-site dedicated badging system called Rapid Tag. The second workflow allows you to scan any Salamander credential in and out of assignments right from your smartphone or tablet, and that's using the Track app. So those are the two applications we're going to cover. Now, with both workflows, you have access to real-time data. All the information regarding the PAR are all accurate since the information is all being synced and joined in together between all the applications. These are all stored and reportable at any time within Salamander Live. Now, we do also have a separate workflow that I will talk about, and this is more for equipment accountability. So this is to account for the issuance and return of equipment such as radios, computers, tables, phones, anything that you're looking at tracking when it comes to issuance to workers, including volunteers. And this is all done using the inventory app. So this does require the asset management feature in order to do any of the equipment accountability. So same like Rapid Tag and Track, the exchange of all the equipment is documented and reportable at any time within Salamander Live. So let's first take a look at the Rapid Tag solution. So high level, what is Rapid Tag? So Rapid Tag, this system is generally used to check in resources without a Salamander credential. So with Rapid Tag, you can check resources in by scanning their driver's licenses, or you can manually enter their information in to the system and then print them off a event-specific credential. So this really makes a Rapid Tag a tagging and tracking solution. So Rapid Tag actually does both. I know I talked about just scanning in a driver's license, but you are able to scan in Salamander credentials through the system as well. Okay, so two different types of IDs. Those that are within our system with that Salamander credential or those without. Outside of driver's licenses, there's a list of other types of IDs that you can scan in, which includes gun permits, vehicle registrations, military cards. So there's a big list on here. I don't have the slide that shows all that, but there's a long list, and that's as long as you are using Rapid Tag version 5. So we do have an older version of Rapid Tag, version 4, that has an older reader on there. So if you want the newest one, you want to make sure that you upgrade to version 5. Version 5 also allows with the two-way syncing of the information so that that data, whatever information that's going into Salamander Live also comes back onto your Rapid Tag computer. Now, every ID that you create through Rapid Tag, it creates that event-specific ID, as you can see here. So this is more of a temporary ID. So once the event is ended, more than likely the individual will throw this ID out. So you have your different medias that you can select from when printing from here. You can use your hard cards if it's a longer type event and you want to use a hard card, you have that option. But we see a lot of agencies using the wristbands or like the 2 by or the 3 by 5 sticky labels. So you have your options on there, but just know that all the information you collect is being shared across all applications through Salamander Live. So here's a quick look at the Rapid Tag workflow. So there are actually 6 steps when working with Rapid Tag. first step is, of course, is to set up your Rapid station, which includes your Rapid computer, the USB scanner, the printer. So this is going to be your mobile printer, your printing supplies, making sure that you have extra ribbons, especially if you're looking at a large scale event and you're printing out lots of IDs, and internet connection. Rapid can be used without internet connection, but in order for that two-way sync to happen, you'll need that internet connection. So making sure that you have a hotspot or something that you're connecting to. Step two is editing the default check-in assignment. So I'll show you what this is. So Rapid is a standalone software that's installed on a computer. And within that, you'll have to start an event. When you start the event, you'll want to make sure that you go in, or before you start the event, you want to go in and change that assignment, because the assignment is going to be the default assignment in which all resources that are checked in through Rapid will be thrown into. Third step on here is to scan the driver's license or manual add the person or any other ID that you're looking at. Um, Step four is printing the credential. Step five is going to be on-site, off-site accountability. So this is basically just talking about checking them out of the event by scanning their credential a second time. So you're checking them in by scanning in their ID. As they're working through the event. They can be moved through different assignments using the track app. Once they're done with the with their shift, they're leaving for the day. You can scan their ID a second time, which would throw them off scene. Off scene is going to be extremely important since that's the only assignment that actually stops the clock. So if you're looking for billable hours and you're looking for accurate cost reports for financing, make sure that you use that off scene assignment. And then last step on here is going into Salamander Live and viewing all the event activity and reports. So there's a lot of information that you'll be able to manage if you have access to Salamander Live. So we'll take a look at that process real quick here. Let me pull up Rapid. So I already have an event created in here, but simply before you start the event, there's a file options. So you want to go file options. And then from there, this is where you can set up your syncing. I just have mine set up to 5-minute intervals. So this is an auto sync. Again, this is something that's available through both version 4 and version 5, except in version 5, you have the two-way sync. So whatever that's being sent up to the same event in Salmon Live is being pushed back through here. But what we're going to be looking for is going to be the assignment piece. So once you start the event, you can't go back in and change it. So you have to do this before you start the event, but I already went in and checked all this. So the check-in assignment, this allows you to go in and enter in whatever you want. So if you want to this to be checked in, if you want it staging, if you have multiple rapid tag stations set up and they're all in different locations, instead of saying checked in, you may want to put in the location. So let's say this is at a Maryland location, that's where it's at. So you can say checked in Maryland or checked in Monroe if that's the other location that they're at. So it's really up to you and how you want to use this. Enabling checkout, this option right here I selected allows you to scan the ID a second time. So what I'm talking about is not the driver's license ID, but the credential that you print from Salamander Live. When you scan that credential a second time, it moves that person immediately to the off-scene assignment. So in here, using Rapid is extremely simple. Okay, so we're looking at this from a standalone, and then we'll add in the track app next here, so you can kind of see the combination for this. So again, Rapid is mainly used for scanning anybody that doesn't have a Salamander credential. But again, as I said earlier, you are able to scan in that Salamander credential if need be. So I'll show you both processes. So I'm not going to scan in my driver's license only because we are recording and this is going to be posted on YouTube for public viewing. So I'm just going to do a manual add in this case. So if the person's ID is for some reason not scanning, that's where you have the manual option. So simply just click on the add option down here. And before you do that, just make sure that you select which tablet or which tab of resources you are adding in. Is it people? Is it equipment? Is it a collection? So right now I've got people highlighted, so I'm going to click on add. In the ad form, first things first is to select the organization. So in here, you might have a list of organizations that you've used. If not, if the organization does not exist in there, you can click the new button and create the new organization in this case. So if we're going to put in here that this is, I'm just going to put here Red Cross. I'm in Minnesota, so I'm going to put Red Cross Minnesota. Okay, you can go in here, select other unknown if you need to, and then the state that you're in or the organization is from. Okay, click finish and now the Red Cross has been added in there as the organization. This is extremely important because you cannot change the organization later. You'll be able to edit a lot of the information in here except for the ID and organization. So make sure if you're training someone on how to use this, because usually, when you're training someone, it could be a volunteer that you're training on using this system. You want to make sure that that's the first thing they go and do when they're adding a new person. Next is the ID. I would just leave it as such. No need to go in there and customize that. And then the person's first name and last name. Other information you'll see in here, if that's all that you want to collect, you can actually click finish. But there's other information that you want to make sure that you capturing in here, especially for when it comes to volunteer hours and for reimbursement. FEMA does require some sort of contact information, so either a phone number or email. So if you can collect that for the person, that's just going to make things a lot easier. Okay, there's a phone number. You can put an email in there. Okay. If you scan in the driver's license information uh, should have populated in here. Other information you might see populated in here is an address. So the information that's parsed through is going to be dependent on that ID that you're scanning. If it's more of a federal recognized type ID, more than likely it will have a lot of this information embedded into that barcode. But if it's not, some information may not pop through. And again, it just depends on the state. Each state's going to be a little bit different. So you can enter in the address. So I'm just filling in some of the information in here, country, state. And then you'll see in here the assignment is the default assignment that I created on the file options window. So you'll see that there's two options since I clicked that checkbox for off scene. So you see here checked in, off scene. For rates, if you want cost reports for all your volunteers that's being checked in through Rapid Tag, put a rate in there. I think the last time I looked, the FEMA reimbursement rate was like $27 and some cents. So you can put that in there if you want to. This right here for expiration, this is a really neat feature that's available in here. Very similar to when you're printing out a permanent credential from Salamander Live, you have the option of entering in a expiration date for this ID. Okay, so one thing on how this works is that. Of course. How are you? Oh, I'm hearing some background noise there. I'm just gonna mute you real quick here. All right, thank you. So for the expiration date, so since it's a temporary ID, so let's say you're running this event, it's a week-long event, and you want this ID to be good for the entire week, you can put that as such. So we can put the expiration date in here. We can choose this for next week, and then you can also choose the time. So in the time in this case, it does use military time, so you can put that time in there. So we'll put in here for 2100 hours is when this ID expires. Once this ID expires, they could just throw it away. So once the event's done, this is more of a temporary ID anyways, so they would just throw it away. Um, at the bottom here, you have options to collect their title, their role, and their location. So again, title, if they're a volunteer, you can type that in there. If they're in there to do something very specific, you can enter that in there for their role. If they are going to be restricted to a specific area or they're going to be working a specific location, you can type that in there. The title, role, and location does print off on the ID itself. Okay. So now some things to note about the ID. I'll print off the ID so you can see on here, but the address information and the phone number and email is not saved in the credential. Okay, so that's not saved. The only thing that's really saved in that credential is their organization, first name, last name, and an ID. Okay, so I'll show you a sample of what that ID would look like. So I chose a wristband, so this is the wristband. So let me pull this up. So here's the ID. You'll see here's the QR code that would be scanned in. So this is so going forward, now that they are entered into the system, you would not scan in the driver's license a second time anywhere within Rapid Tag. Okay. Going forward, you would be using this barcode to scan them in and check them out and move them from assignment to assignment. Okay. You'll see here the level is the location, the role. You'll see that in here. And then since we put expiration date, the expiration date does list here as well. Okay. Okay. Any questions on personnel, adding people in here? Couple things to note, if you have multiple rapid tag computers that are being used for the same event, if you are entering role and location, this information in here, that does not sync over. So that's only going to be stored locally on that computer, but it does not sync over. Okay. But you'll see the person's name, their ID, title, and their assignment populate through. So that's how to add people. If you also have equipment you want to enter in the system here, if volunteers are bringing in or mutual aid is bringing in equipment, again, this equipment doesn't belong to you, so it wouldn't be in your Salomon Live database. You could use RapidTech to track that equipment. Okay. So simply click on the equipment tab and then click add. More than likely you probably won't have any sort of barcodes to scan for a volunteer mutual aid type equipment that's coming onto the scene. So a lot of it's going to be manual entry. So in this case, you can type this in. Let's say they brought in a trailer. This is, let's say it's the Red Cross. Again, you'd want to double check, make sure you have the correct organization selected. Everything else in this case is all optional. Okay, so if you want to put a role in there, feel free to do so. And then simply click Finish. So in this case, for printing, equipment doesn't have a 1x10 option. So if you are printing off equipment barcodes, just know that in your rapid tag, in your actual printer, you'll need to change your media. So if you're using the 2x1 design instead, so you'll see in here, I might have to, let me finish this first. Let me finish this. I think I have this set up as a 2x1 design, but I'll show you in here. Okay. So in here, if I go to options and printing, you see in here under printing, I have the 1x10 design and I have the 2x1 design for equipment. That will require you to make some setting changes on your computer. Okay. And of course, to change your media within your printer itself. So you're switching now from a wristband, which doesn't require a ribbon, to a 2x1 that does require a ribbon and labels. So that's just something to think about if you're printing, you're looking at printing different media type ID tags for people, equipment, and collections. Okay, so you see here there isn't an option for a 1x10 in here. For companies, same thing. There isn't an option for a 1x10, but you could do the 2x3s or 3x5s. So that's why we see a lot of agencies, they'll use the 3x5s. 3x5s are available for all. So here's the equipment ID, the ID that's printed. So again, real basic name of the item the organization belongs to and the QR code. If you're printing this off, you can slap it right onto the piece of equipment, which can be now tracked and scanned in and scanned out. Okay. And here you also have the option for collections. So just like in Salamander Live, we're able to create collections. You can do that right from RapidTag. So again, these are for mutual aid volunteers in which you're creating collections on the fly. And you're able to do this. So the process is the same. You'll have to create the collection first. Okay, so if you have to create the collection first in this case. So if this was, let's say you have a group of translators in this case. So I'm going to put here translator. Okay, so that's the ID and the name could be the same. It's really up to you. Okay, the organization in which they're from. So I'm going to put it here, new agency, Mary Translator Agency. Okay. Type, other, and then the state. So you have your organization selected, your collection, click next. Again, a collection is just a team of people and equipment that's going to be tracked as one unit. So it's just grouping them all together. And then once you create your collection, you're able to now scan in driver's licenses or manually add equipment. Okay. And then once you add in your people, so if I'm scanning in barcodes or I'm scanning in or manually adding, you can add in the leader. So in this case, I'm going to scan in some actual salamander barcodes. In this case, pull up my list of barcodes here. So I'm going to scan these people in here. So these are salamander credentials I'm scanning. So these are not driver's licenses. So that's the power of Rapid Tag is that you can scan in both types of IDs. So there's the first one. So this is an actual salamander credential I'm scanning. So it's pulling in all information from that barcode, pulling it over. So there's that one. I can scan another one. There's that one. There's that one. Okay, so I've got my three. There's a leader. You can put a leader in there. If there's none, you don't have to select one in this case. There is a program coordinator. I'll just select this person and then make them the leader. So how you make the leader is just simply click on leader, drop down the names populated in here, and then select the leader. And then you can click finish. So you have two options in this case. You have an option print when entered. We'll print off one barcode for the entire collection, and then you have the option of printing an individual barcode for every single one of these. In the case that they get separated, they've got their own barcode to get scanned in. And click finish to print the one barcode. And there it is. One thing to note when you're creating collections in this case, let me get this printed, is that there is an icon that follows the collection. So you'll see there's an icon on the left side of the name of the collection. And you'll see that icon follow through on the personnel and equipment side as well too. So it lets you know that these people are part of a collection, which means that their assignment is the collection. So in this case, because they're part of a collection, their assignment is the collection. If you want to know where that collection is in, specifically what assignment, you need to go to the collections tab and you'll see that they are checked in. Okay, so that is Rapid Tag for you in a nutshell of how to use this for tracking all your volunteers and even your people. Just, if for some reason something's not scanning through the track app and you can still use Rapid Tag to scan them in, just like that. If they have a salamander credential, you don't need to print them off a barcode anymore. Just make sure you click the checkbox to uncheck it so it's not printing off a barcode. That way you're not wasting your supplies. Okay, questions on this process? All right. Now in Salamander Live, you will see the event pull through. So we're going to come back to this, but I wanted to show you case this real quick for you here that your event is being synced up to Salamander Live. You'll know it's syncing because at the bottom of your screen, you're seeing a production status. It says online. So always keep your eye on that, making sure that it's green and it says online. For any reason, if you do lose internet connection, it would say offline and be in red text. Okay, so just keep your eye on that. But you'll see if we go into Salamander Live, if you have access to events, you'll be able to see the events dashboard. So there's our event. You should see in there shelter management started through our rapid tag. Okay, so we're gonna come back to this because we're gonna go through the track app first, and I'll just show you all in one of the data that you'll be able to see on the event side. So any questions before we move on to the track app workflow? There's a couple more steps on the track app side. All right. So high level, what is the Track app? The Track app, this is a mobile application that is downloaded onto your Android or iOS device. Um, Unlike Rapid Tag, the Track app can only scan Salamander barcodes. Okay, so no driver's license can be scanned through the Track app. Once installed, it can be used to create an event or join an event that is already taking place. So in this case, you can create one by clicking the plus button right here, or you can tap the join to join one that's existing. And that's what we're going to do is we're going to join our rapid tag event. So in the case, this is you using all your applications. So before it was just standalone. If you didn't have track, but you had rapid tag, that's how you would manage that. But if you're also using track apps with your rapid tag, it allows you to kind of combine the two together. Okay. So once you're joined into an event, the Track app allows you to scan any Salamander credential, including those that are printed from RapidTag. You can scan RapidTag evac. You can scan even ID tags from organizations that you don't have access to. So maybe the county over, the state over, someone that's visiting in from, from California, and they're there to help support your event. You can scan their Salamander credential. Once you scan their credential within the Track app, you're able to check them into a specific task or assignment. So unlike RapidTag, the Track app, you are able to download and scan in all different types of assignments. So this is more of that tracking and being able to count them for all their activities. So all the things they're doing throughout that event. In the case that someone forgets their ID, you are able to download the record directly from Salamander Live into their respective assignments. Okay, so in order to download, it does require internet connection. So you can use the Track app on your phone without internet connection, but but for most of the features in there, you'll need internet connection. So all the data that you do within your Track app, this again is shared across all applications that are joined in through Salamander Live. So let's take a look at the workflow here. So there are six steps. So first is making sure that you have the Track app. So you want to go into the App Store, download the Track app, and log into the application. So the login, this would be provided to you by your Salamander Live account administrator. Okay. Um, Once you download and log into the application, you can either create or join the event. So these steps are going to be provided to you by whoever's managing that event if you are just a Track app user. Once you join into an event, you have the ability to add in assignments. Okay. If the assignments have already been added in because your event was created from a plan or someone else is managing that through Salamander Live, you wouldn't need to add in the assignments. But we're going to start it from where you can add assignments in there. Okay. Step 4, scan or download Salamander credentials to start that tracking process. Step 5 is on-site, off-site accountability. So again, you have the option to move them from assignment to assignment, not just to the off-scene assignment like rapid tag. Okay, so you'll see in here, there's a list of all these different assignments in here. You have visibility to see exactly who's been checked in where, what they're doing. Last step in here is you can view the event activity and reports within Salamander Live. Okay. So I'm going to pull up the Track app here. So here's my Track app. There's my shelter management. So I have options for creating or joining. In this case, I'm going to join the event I created through Rapid Tag. So if you're using Rapid Tag and Track, it's easier if you start the Rapid Tag event first and then join through Track. That way, you're not needing to do another step, because if you create the event through Track and created the event because you have no choice to create an event through Rapid Tag, you'll have to do another step in the back end, which is logging in and merging the two events together. So this just saves you that additional step. So if you want to put that in your SOP, so that your people know, start the event through Rapid Tag or um, any of the other solutions first, and you just have your Track app users join in. Been joining the event here. I'm joining in the event. So far we have these individuals checked in. So again, if you have Rapid Tag Evac that's running at the same time, again, this is shelter management. So you probably have people that are checking in through Rapid Tag Evac as well. So your patient evacuee numbers over here would be syncing in. So let's just do that really quick, just so that we have a real case scenario of what would be happening. So I'm going to pull up Rapid Tag Evac real quick here. I'm going to start the event, and then I'll show you that additional step where you have to join everything in on the back end. So I'm going to so that you can see what you're going to be seeing, not just responders, but you'll also be able to see as evacuees or patients are being registered into the system. So I'm just going to call this one shelter management. Okay. If you have external incidents, you can um, select that from the drop down. Again, we covered this last month, so if you have specific ones, you can do that in here. Okay, so I'm going to click OK. I'm just going to register someone really quick in here. So again, I'm just quickly going in here, adding in someone so that we have something to report for our evacuees. Again, you would have more information than what I'm entering in here. Address information is recommended. Okay, I'm going to click next. Destination assignment, since we didn't have a reference incident, it would be registered. So if you want to review this process, you can go back and review our video from last month. Okay, and then I'm just going to click finish to print off the ID. Okay, now note that um, Rapid Tag evac credentials cannot be scanned in through Rapid Tag. Okay, they cannot be scanned into Rapid Tag. Rapid Tag is exclusively just responders. Okay, just responders. Actually, there you go. Okay, so just responders themselves. Track app does allow you to scan in those evac IDs. Okay, so that's the difference between the two, since the track app is a combination of both. Okay, so let me just go back in here, and now we're gonna send and sync this up to Salomon Live real quick here. Make sure that I'm connected to, yep. Okay, so now I should have two events called shelter management. So if you had a combination, right? So from combination, what we talked about last month. So you have people that are scanning in, registering all the people that are getting checked into the shelter. You have Rapid Tag that's checking all your volunteers that are working at those shelters. And then you have the Track app that can be used to check in all of your people, your staff members that have Salamander credentials. So you could have three applications that's running for this event. Okay. So since Rapid Tag and Rapid Tag Evac are two separate events, since you had to create them on their own, you have to merge them. So we're going to merge them together. And how you do that is by joining. So click the event that you want as the parent. So in this case, I'm going to select the one that was created through Rapid Tag. So I want this one to be the parent. So whichever one you select first will be the parent. So that means that the second one I select for Rapid Tag Evac is going to merge into this one and will disappear once I click join. You see that? So click the check boxes, click the join button at the top, and it's going to merge all that data together. So now there's only be one event in the main application called Rapid Tag. Now you're going to see some things happen here through Rapid Tag or not the rapid tag, but through the track app. Okay. So once this syncs up, there's my one rapid tag evac. So there's my evac individual. You see that? Registered, and there's my one person. There's Adam Chase. Okay. So the track app, we did release some and make some changes to how we um, separate between responder and civilian type credentials. So I know we talked about this last month. If you're part of that part one where we talked about civilian track and accountability, we didn't have any of that last month, but now we do. We just did this release this morning at like it's probably like midnight. We did an update where now the track app and Salamander Live is going to separate out those civilian credentials. So if you have a separate civilian account where you're registering all your civilians into this data into the Salamander Live database and you are tracking them into an event, you can scan them through the track app. Now you can't scan them through Rapid because Rapid again is responder only, but the track app you're able to scan them in. Just note that we don't have a identifier in here, an icon to separate it out, but they will be listed as civilian. Okay, so we are working on the update for that. That's actually the next release that will be coming soon, is the track app to show it as a separate icon over here. Okay, so we'll do the responder first, and then I'll show you the civilian side. Okay, so I've got some barcodes on here I'll scan in. So in this case, scanning, checking someone in is as simple as tapping the scan button and then scanning in their credential. Okay. So in this case, you have your option, right? Since I scan it from the main screen, it's going to say, where do you want this person to go? So unlike Rapid Tag, here you have the ability to create a new assignment, or you can select one of any of these assignments right here. So I'm going to just put on here, can't remember which one I scanned in here. I'll put this one as nurses. So here, because I have Salamander identity verification turned on, this pops up. So you have the option as a track app user to turn this feature on or off. It comes with the track app. So I have mine turned on, which is now validating all the IDs I scan in. Okay, so this one just says identity not found. This is actually an older barcode. This record was deleted from the system. That's why it's saying that this record doesn't exist in Salamander Live. So I have the option to block or allow. So I'm going to allow that person. Your camera stays active, allows you to scan in the next person. Now, notice that the assignment is set to nurse. Okay, so any person that you're scanning next through the scan session is going to be put into the nurse assignment. So if the next person you're scanning is not going to the nurse assignment, you want to make sure that you back out of this and then go back into your main event. Okay. Yeah. So that's how you scan in people. Very simple. People, equipment, same process. Tap the scan button, scan that piece of equipment. Simple as that. Let's see in here, what equipment do I have? I can scan in. I don't have any that really makes sense for this. Let me see here. Got a bunch of chairs, cars. Here's equipment trailer. So for equipment, I'm going to scan this equipment trailer right here. Okay, I'm scanning that one right there. Okay, so in this case, you can put where this piece of equipment is. Okay, so if it's in a parking lot, wherever that's at, in a warehouse, again, you have your different assignments. You can choose where you want to place that. Okay, if it's in a staging area, um, so I'm just going to put that this is in the parking lot. I can spell parking lot. There it is. So there's the trailer and it's set up. Okay, so it's easy as that to scan them in. So we've got person, got a piece of equipment. You have your collection in here as well. So there's our collection of our translators. So with the track app, you're able to go in here and separate out your collections as well, or you can scan in your collections. So you have your options, right? So you can also scan in collections. You can download your collections right from the track app. So if the collection that's in front of you, the team that's in front of you doesn't have a barcode, no problem. You can tap the plus button. So right now I'm in the checked in assignment. I can tap the plus button, tap collections, and I can download the collection from Salamander Live. So this is pulling from your collections database within Salamander Live and what you have access to. So then you can go through your list and select whichever one that you're looking at adding into the event. Okay, so I'm just going to add in my Salamander support team by tapping the picture. Once you tap the picture, you're going to see in there it's going to tell you here's all the members of that collection for Salamander support. So there's Danielle, Sally, and Leah. So in this case, you're going to verify, do I have Danielle, Sally, and Leah here? If all three are here, I can tap accept. If one person is not there, let's say um, Danielle is not there, I can uncheck her name and then tap accept. So now this collection is only going to grab the two individuals, not all three. See that? From here, you can also move people if need be. So in this case, I've got my translators in this case. You can go in there and view their profile by tapping on the name of the resource. Okay, so I'm going to tap on the translators group. In here, I've got my 4 people. So if I need to move people out from a collection, it's very easy to do so. So this is what we call a manual move. Okay, so this moving this individual from one assignment to another right from the track app. So let's say we need Manny to go to the medical check to do some translation. So in this case, I can check their picture. At the very top, you're going to see that there's a move icon. I can tap that to move that person to where we need them to go. In this case, I'm going to tap in here, medical check, create the assignment. So now that person has been moved out of the translator assignment and into that new assignment. Within here, if you're looking at details, you can also see there's a time, like a assignment history. So everything that you're doing in here is date and time stamped. So this is what's being sent up to Salamander Live, and it'll let you know how long they've been in that assignment for. Okay, so that's for every single person in this case. So if I went back in here and I went back to medical check and looked at Manny, I tapped on his name, it would have 2 timestamps. He was in translators group at 2:22, and then 2:41 he was moved over to medical check. Okay, so that's the activity history that we're looking for, is what are the things they did during the event. Okay, now I've got some civilian barcodes. I'm going to scan those in to show you. So again, the track app is the only one that can actually scan these in. Let me get my barcodes up. I've got some civilian barcodes right here. I'm going to scan this first one right here. Okay, where do you want them to be? I'm going to put in here checked in. Okay, again, this is from my different account. That's why it's showing that ID not found. Scan the next person. So you see, I threw them into checked in assignment because we don't have an icon indicator. It's not going to show that we've got 2 civilians in there. But if we tap in here, and oh, it's because I printed these off from a different site, so I apologize. So if I printed these off from the actual main site, which I do have one. Let me see. This is probably the correct one. It would pop up as civilian in this case. And again, this is probably not from the correct site. So I've got a couple barcodes from a different site I'm pulling from. That's why they're pulling in from here. But you'll see in here, once I go in here, it's going to be their civilian. So they're checked in. Okay. And you'll see that they'll populate on uh, the event side as civilian. Okay. So I'm going to show you that real quick here. So I've got my people in here. I've got my equipment. I've got my collections. I got my evacuees everything is being moved in and out, you'll see all of that happen. Everything I'm doing within the track app, if you are also using Rapid Tag, just note that everything you're doing is also being transferred over to and synced over to Rapid Tag. So you see on here, I added those translators. They're all put in here as well, and as well as the nurse. From here now, know that because we merged the two events together, Rapid Tag will pull in those additional assignments. Okay. So for example, if I go to this individual Mai Shang, if I click edit, I can go in there, I can look at the assignment, and now I have all the assignments I had available through Salamander Live available in here. Now, what you're seeing in here under these assignment, this SALST and translator, these are the collections. So this allows me to move these individuals into these collections. Okay, so that's basically what it is. So I can move this one. If this person was moved out of a collection, I can move them back into another collection. Okay, so that's what this is. You can do the exact same thing through the track app, but only through manual moves and downloads. Okay, you can't do that through scanning. Okay, so I'll show that real quick. So I'm going to move medical check back over. So tap their name, the move icon, and you'll see that the collections appear here. So I can move that person back to the translators group. Yeah. But you can't do that through a scan. Okay. All right, so I'm going to pull up Salamander Live so you can see all this data that's populating through so that you can see exactly what I mean when I say that all this data is being pulled through and we've got a new fifth icon for the civilian icon. So let's go through the chart first and then I'll show all the different changes we've made. Okay. So here you see we've got one civilian. So here's my chart. There's that civilian. And I apologize, those two other records I scanned were from a different account. That's why it's not recognized as civilian. But I scanned that one that is recognized. So if I click on that, it'll show that person listed in here. Okay. I can kind of refresh that real quick here. That person will populate in here. Okay. And then you'll also see in here, you'll be able to go in and view your piece of equipment, all your collections. So we've made a couple of changes on here as well too. So in the collections now, in the past, this is an update, we've made it so that you are able to view each of the people that are within that collection. Before it would just list them. Okay. So I'll have to double check on here why the resource is not populating in here. For registered, you'll see your evacuee. So you have a list of all your evacuees as they are also being registered into the system. Okay, so you have that fifth icon. That's what we've added in here. Now, if you had our Events Pro feature, you would also have access to go in here and add in additional assignments. So you would have these additional icons at the top here, a camera icon and a plus button where you're able to add in additional assignments if need be. Anything that you do from the chart tile will transfer over to Track app and the Rapid Tag. Okay. Same thing in here if I wanted to add in some resources right from Salamander Live. This again is available with the resource or with the Events Pro feature. I can click Edit and I can add in additional resources right from Salamander Live. So I can add people by clicking Add. This is going to pull all the people you have access to from the people database. You have equipment, same thing, equipment database and collection. Not only that, you have the ability to move people as well. So let me just add someone real quick in here. You'll see in here that anybody that is in red has already been added to the event. Okay. So I can go through in here. I can add in who I need to in here. So I'm going to add them. Simply just click on them, add them to selected area and add. From here, if I need to move someone, let's say I need to move this person, I can click the checkbox and I can move this person to a new assignment right from the chart. So if I move this person to medical check, I'm going to move this person. And now they're moved. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you're also able to add in locations for all the assignments. So locations are added right and pinned right onto the GIS map. Okay, so let me go back and add a location. Again, this is with the Events Pro feature. So again, you have to subscribe this, or if you have plans, it comes with either. Okay, so details, you can add an address in this case. There's my address. I can click save. From here, if you need to move the address, you can click the map and you can move the pin. Kind of gives you kind of um, a area where it's at based off your location, and you can move the pin around if need be, and it'll update. So let's go back to my chart, and you'll see on the chart that now I have a green pin for the nurse assignment. There it is. It'll even, if you click on it, it's going to show you the address, latitude, and longitude. Again, address is only if it's available, but latitude and longitude is required for pinning. Okay. The track app, as your track app users are joined into the event, they will also be pinned on here with a yellow pin. So again, this is approximate location. The track app pin does not move. This is a static pin. We are working on an update to have this move like the tag app. So that as your track app users are moving, it'll also move with them, so it's real time. And I believe we're also working on breadcrumbs. We released the breadcrumbs with version 68 for our update, so that's available on the tag app. There's another pin that you would see on here, which is the event location, which is set up on the event edit page. I'll show you that in a little bit here. So that is a map. Um, Other things that you'll see on here is the roster. So let me just refresh. See what's going on with my roster tile on here. Something's up with my roster tile. Let me go to another event on here. Let's go to my search and rescue training event. So my roster, something's up with my roster, so I'll be able to show this. Let me actually, let me go to another account here. Let me go to my staging. It's working in my account here. I apologize for the technical error here. All right, let's go to my game day. There, this is what you would see. Now, let me go to one that actually has civilians so you can see. Go to my family center one. Okay, so this is what the roster tile is supposed to look like. So you'll see in here, there's actually 3 tabs now. We have a people, equipment, and collections. So this was with our release that was just sent out today. So all your civilians would be listed in here under people. You'll see in here vertical type, it'll show that they are civilian, and it'll show their assignment, their organization that they're with, and everything. If their record has an email, you'll be able to email them directly from here as well. So that's a change that we made. Same thing with equipment and collections. So with the roster tile, you're able to go in there. Again, there's 2 purposes for this, or 3, to see last updated assignment and time, and then being able to email people. So you can email them directly right from here. Send them an email, just like as if you're sending from Gmail or Outlook. And then you're also able to go in here and edit their times. So add a manual log entry. Okay, so this is to fix times, to add in missed check-ins, things like that. Okay, again, this is only available through the Events Pro or Plans feature. The other option you have is the resource timer. Resource timer, again, available through Events Pro or Plans feature, and allows you to go in and add in individual times for all your resources, so all your people. So you'll see in here that we also added civilians in here as well, so they are listed. You see the vertical type in here. So you're able to add not just timers for your responders, but for your civilians as well. Looks like we have a question.
Yeah, I do have a question for you. Are you
Sure.
able to, now that there's a timer in there, are you able to put a timer that counts down So if you have a resource that's on scene that say you only have for 24 hours on a mutual aid agreement that would track how much time you have left before that actually switches over to a billed asset.
We do not for that. For this, it's a real basic timer. So when you click on it, you can just put the maximum and then the warning time, and that's it. Once it nears that warning time, you'll see that this will turn yellow. And then your alarm will also ring. So it doesn't change that over to, let's say if you had a standard hourly time, and then it'll switch over to the overtime, whatever they had set up in their account. So that's not how it works. Um, but I know
But
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
nope, you can make it work with what you just showed right there. So I think I answered my own question. I
Oh,
appreciate that.
okay. You're welcome. I thought you were looking at where it automatically switches to from standard overtime or standard hourly time to your standard overtime rate, and it doesn't do that. But yes, if you're just looking for some sort of warning, this does
Yep,
populate a warning for you.
that's what I'm looking for. Thank you.
Perfect. You're welcome. So I'll just put one in here. I know this is 7 days in here, so it's been a while, but you can put a maximum minimum time in here and it'll populate in here. So if I just, if you put um, 5 minutes in here, obviously there's the clock in here. If I refresh this, the alarm is going to go off. And there's my alarm. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but there it is. It's populated right there. Okay, so then I can just go in there, turn off the alarm, and then I can just remove this and then click save. So here, I'll populate. This is what this is supposed to look like. So here it is. This is my account that actually works with the civilian ones. I don't actually have civilian on the my other account that actually has civilian based IDs. But here's some. So this is what it would look like. So if you click on that icon, you'll see that they have their own specific reports for civilians. So even say in their civilians, and you'll be able to pull their own individual detail report. So for civilians today, in the reports, this is the only one that would be available that you can be able to pull and see on the event side. So this is what you would be able to see. We don't actually have one that's available in here in the report list for civilians. It's being built. So right now, nothing in here for civilians. So see in here. So in this case, the civilians themselves are included in these reports, so showing them civilian tests and their time frames. There's not one specifically that says civilian, so I just want to clarify on that. So you can go onto any of these people reports, you'll be able to see the activity. You'll just need to know that they are, depending on the organization that's selected, that they are a civilian. So it doesn't have an actual column that denotes that they are civilian. So you just have to be careful when you're looking at the reports themselves. All right. What questions do you guys have for me? Any other questions? And that's Nate, I just saw your question here. Are sessions 1 to 3 posted to YouTube under a specific channel so we can find the entire series? Yes, they will be posted. I don't think I have one up yet. I will send you the link, but they should be posted by next week. I was waiting for today's video so I can post them all at one time. So there's actually uh, two parts to this series, part 1 and part 2. Any questions for me? You're welcome, Nate. Any questions? All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today. Really appreciate your time. If you're going through the workflow, you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My email is training@salamanalive.com. I'll put up my contact information up here so you can have that information if you need to reach out. You can always call our 24/7 number. This is our support line. You can reach me from there too, or you can talk with our support line. It's option number one. We did just do our release today, so if you're interested in learning about all the features that we've released with the update today, come back and join me next month in April. That's when I'm going to cover all the changes that we made to Salamander Live. Okay. So just look in the bulletin. That's where you'll find the information for those dates. So it's going to be April 13th at 1 p.m. Central and April 18th at 10 a.m. Central. If you're interested in getting those and you don't get the customer bulletin, email me and I will forward you the link so that you can get the invite. All right, everyone. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate your time. You guys all stay warm out there. We're in Minnesota. It's 33 degrees, so I'm happy with that to stay in double digits. So thank you all. Take care now.